Hi, I'm Don, also known as Moto Giant. If you're new to my channel, I'm a motorcycle guy and I love to go motorcycle camping and stealth camping, and I have been a huge advocate for hammock camping for over a decade. Recently, I have been hearing and reading a lot about lay flat hammocks, a new design that allows you to lay flat instead of the shape of a banana. I decided that I wanted to try out the new Haven hammock, and that's what I'm doing today, so stick around. As I said earlier, I've been hammock camping for over a decade, and I find it most situations far superior to ground camping or camping in a tent like most people do. But even I get tired of twisting around in my highly developed hammock that I've been camping in for a decade. So I started looking for something new and ran into the Haven hammock. And this is the Haven XL for those of you not in the know. I hate unboxing videos, but I did want to show you what comes in the package. Pretty easy setup. Run the two tree straps around a tree, and they've got loops in them so you can adjust the tension and just hang a carabiner through the loop and through the end of the hammock. Pretty simple setup, dead simple. I think after setting it up, I think there should be a little bit more length of tree strap, but other than that, it's just completely brain dead easy setup. Once you've got your hammock hung and tightened, you just insert the spreader bars at the head and foot. Pretty simple, just shock corded spreader bars that fit together, and you just stick them in these interesting little pockets, heavy duty stitched nylon pockets, and it looks like you could just lay in there, but you will have to add the sleeping pad to be able to be comfortable in this. And at this point, this was probably the hardest thing I did, is blowing up this mattress. Comes with a inflating bag, and I've never used one, so it was a bit of a struggle for me, but I think it would probably go just as quick or quicker if you just put your mouth on there and started blowing. And once you have the sleeping pad fully inflated, you just tuck it in the corners. There's some little insert pockets in all four corners, and just tuck it in there, and it does not move around at all. I would expect this pad to slide around in there, but it's really not sliding around at all. Alright, so yeah, that would look, my feet are off the ground, so far I'm really digging this. Not holding my weight. So I still think I'm downhill a little bit. Probably because I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have my head a good bit further up, elevated. Because of my weight, my weight's going to push this thing down. So let's adjust this a little bit more. Okay, so the strap is going up. Maybe 2 or 3 degrees. Not a lot, but that should take care of us here. I'm kind of misjudging where I should climb into this thing so far, because my head has been getting a little bit high. That's much better. All right. So I'm very wide. I'm a very wide dude. I mean, not just fat. I'm definitely fat, but I'm wide too. So my shoulders are wide. They fit inside here pretty well. But my arms, not so much. I'm not sure if that's something of my doing if it's that I'm so fat that I'm pulling the and pulling the sides in, but other than that, it's pretty damn comfortable. I think the true test is going to come sleeping. Can I sleep in this thing? I'm shocked at how easy this thing is to set up. I mean, I'm a moron. I am not a, I can't put things together with my mind very well.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
So, a glance at the instructions allowed me to go, oh, okay, put these two sticks together, put the, clamp, blah, blah, blah. I'm amazed at how easy it is to set up. And not just that, the boneheaded dummy proof. Okay, my head's floating down further, I just push it up higher on the tree. It's too low at this end, stretch it out. Definitely not anywhere near as hard to adjust as a typical ASIM. The ASIM hammock's what I've been using for the past decade. It's pretty particular. If you want to lay right, if you just want to hang a hammock in between two trees, it's not that hard to do. But if you want to sleep right, if you want to sleep relatively flat, you've got to be very particular about how you hang it, how tight the hammock is. This thing is just tight between two trees. Holy crap, that's night and day. That's probably going to be one of the things that and over the years, like, hey, look, it takes a little while to figure out how to set this thing up. That counts a lot of people out. So the hardest thing about this thing is blowing up this this insulated pad. That's the hardest thing I did. Only because it took a little bit of time. So far, I'm digging it. I'm going to do some more adjusting just to kind of play with where my head's supposed to be. I think I could probably use a little bit higher position, but I can't wait to try this thing out tonight. It's supposed to be 36 degrees, I think, so that'll be good as far as getting to determine whether or not this is going to be something that's good for winter camping. Yeah, I can't wait till tonight. I can't wait. Let me tweak on this thing just a little bit more. See what I can get out of it. I have heard so much conversation about the Haven that I was expecting that all to be hype. I didn't expect, because, people that don't spend a lot of time outdoors find something that they like. Oh yeah, this is much better. So in my case, I'm going to have to jack my head up. I think this is about 3 degrees now difference. That may be the only tweaking that I do, is finding out the tilt in the trees, what's going to make me comfortable. So far, I really like this. I really like this. I don't sleep on my back. I don't see that as being a big issue. This is really nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is not easy to do on the BlackBird. Wow, this is like a floating suspended bed. I really did not expect this. I really did not expect this. Wow. Yeah. It's kind of warm here too. The XL comes with a tight-fitting custom rainfly that has several tie-out points. Gives you some options. You could tie it directly to the bottom of the hammock in the corners, or guy it out, or fly it like I like to do. The instructions for the rainfly were not caveman proof, as obviously I struggled a little bit, but I did manage to get the rainfly tied off for the night. They have better instructions on the website. They've got some videos on how to set up the fly and the hammock and everything properly. That little possum trying to climb up the tree. So let's crawl in here and see if I can get some sleep tonight. I've got my mittens on. That's what I call them. Alright. So, alright. So, next time you see me, hopefully we'll be in the morning. We'll see how it goes. 38 degrees, 98% humidity. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. I should sleep pretty good. It's pretty toasty in here, considering it's so cold out, but we'll see how it goes. The low temperature that night was 38, but the only thing that really got cold was my nose. All right, I guess it's time for first impressions. I did say it was easy to set up, even for a moron. Let me peel off my adventure Crocs first. Yeah, so out of the box comfort, I would say not having to know all the intricacies and the adjustments and all that. I'm still leaning a bit downhill, so that's the first thing I probably should talk about is and it's probably just because of my weight, my extreme weight. I'm 300 pounds and I'm 6'5". So let's talk about all those things first. I'm a monster. I am a giant. I mean, it even says so in my name right here. As proof, I'm 300 pounds, I'm 6'5", and I feel like I'm at the limits of this thing. I'm certainly at the limits of the length because I am almost touching the ends, which I'm fine with. I'm pretty much at the limits of everything that I touch. So I'm okay with that as long as I'm not exceeding it. My feet aren't sticking out, my head's not sticking out. I've actually got my head propped up here on the side. But my head is still tilting down despite having raised this thing several times trying to adjust it. So I think that's probably due to my extreme weight because I'm just guessing. I'm guessing that, you know, most of my weight is pushing the hammock down. Let's see. Yeah, it makes it a lot more flat if I push my weight forward. So I'm thinking that's probably got a lot to do with it. Not just that, I think most people's weight is probably going to be closer to the center because most people are not shaped like a 300-pound apple. So, but yeah, so, okay, height and weight, I still feel like I'm at the limits, but I don't feel afraid to climb into this thing. I just did a review, and I'm probably going to put that out in a few days. I just did a review of a cheap Chinese lay-flat hammock that I was terrified just to sit in. In fact, I put it so low to the ground because I was afraid the thing was, I was going to rip right through it. And I think that thing was rated for like 450 pounds, some ridiculous number, which maybe it would hold, but I certainly would not take that thing camping. Okay, let me tell you the most important thing is I slept till 9 o'clock this morning. So the most important thing is any idiot can set this thing up. I'm proof. With a little bit of tweaking, even a monster can get this thing tweaked so you can sleep in it. Just a little bit of tweaking. Number two, it was 38 degrees last night. It was really cold out here. And I used my sleeping bag as a top quilt for the first time. I think I've tried it before, but I couldn't succeed. But last night with the sleep pad that comes with it, I used my sleeping bag as a top quilt. In other words, I just used the foot box. I zipped it up maybe about to right here. Used that to keep my feet inside the hammock, and then just pulled the rest over me, slept like a rock. 9 a.m., which is about 2 hours more than I usually sleep, which means this may be actually more comfortable than my bed, which is starting to scare me. So even if I have to take this ground pad, I think for long trips, especially if it's going to be days at a time where I'm going to be in one spot, this is kind of a no-brainer, because the hammock, my current hammock, that Blackbird, gets old after a few days. I want to be on the ground. I want to lay flat. I want to toss around. I want to be comfortable, ultra comfortable. And the Blackbird is, that's really, I think I've reached the limits of what my comfort level can be in that Blackbird. That's why I started looking at some options, and people started talking about these lay flat hammocks, these bridge hammocks, and that's what this is. They call it a tent, a hammock tent. And I'm not so sure I would agree with that, even though I'm sure you could use this as a tent too. You could probably put this on the ground easily. I don't have the bug net installed, but you can see it's got a double-sided bug net that you can remove. I'm trying to give my first impressions, and I'm trying to be restrained. In other words, I don't want to sound like I'm as excited as I actually am. This thing gave me some amazing sleep. It was so cold last night. I got out a couple of times to pee. When I got back in, this thing's cold as hell. It's like freezes, like sitting on ice for like a minute or two, and then I warmed up because I wasn't sleeping on the. Normally I'll crawl out of my hammock, which is another issue. Crawling into my Blackbird and trying to get back into the sleeping bag. Wow, maybe that's one of the things that's really changing me. That I've got to have that underquilt this time of year. I've got to have that underquilt. Battling that underquilt for the last 2 or 3, 4 dozen times I've camped in that thing in the cold. Battling that underquilt, because the underquilt flops out from underneath it despite everything that I do. I've managed to get most of it under control, but then getting into the bag and battling my sleeping bag, trying to get into that hammock, and this is kind of a no-brainer. I'm just so shocked, and right now I'm buzzing with my head, trying to figure out all those little bitty things that are bugging me. I'm actually considering bringing a big fluffy pillow with me, because this thing was so awesome. So I'm trying to be restrained. I'm trying not to be or sound as excited as I am, but I'm actually excited about having something different. Not just that, I think the big thing so far, and I'm gonna have to make sure that this is true. These are the same trees I normally tie my hammock to when I'm testing out anything. It's the same hammock that I tied testing out that cheap Chinese, that $31 hammock. But this is a standard width. The thing I'm most excited about is being able to find some trees that are not 10 to 12 feet apart. You know, maybe they're 15, 20 feet apart. Maybe they're 6 or 8, which those are very difficult with my current hammock setup, because I have to have that perfect pitch, and I have to have the perfect amount off the ground, and all this, you know, refined stuff to make me be able to sleep perfectly. I'm thinking I can resolve all those issues with this and hook up to that tree out there, or hook up to something closer. The one thing I'm seeing so far is I'm probably going to have another strap, at least another additional strap on one end, because these straps are too short. This strap around this tiny tree here is fine, but I'm hooked to this tree over here and it's huge. It's taken up almost half the length of this strap. So the tree straps, I'm gonna have to get an extension. Ideally, I think I would like some kind of a adjustable pull tight system. That way I can get it perfect. I can hang it as high as I want to and then pull it as tight as I want to. I'm trying to find a good way of talking about this without sounding like I am a giddy schoolgirl. Yeah, the biggest concern I had initially was stability. I was thinking, man, am I gonna fall out of this thing? Obviously I'm not. I have fallen out of my BlackBird several times. Mostly because I'm not paying attention and I'm just an idiot, but I'm gonna play around with this thing and tweak it just a little bit. See what I can get. All right, so I think I've resolved one of the big issues. This is the standard strap, and as you can see, this is a pretty hefty tree I've got it tied around. And it's so big that it starts taking up the loops already before it even gets around the tree. So I fixed that by putting a standard hammock strap on here, just fed it through here. And that gives me the starting point that's much further out, so I can adjust this one up, get this head up off the ground, and I've got, well geez, I've got one more adjuster, but that's pretty tight. It's high off the ground. I still may put like an adjustable, like a feed system, like a pull, some D-rings or something like that in there, but for now it's going to work. And I'm looking forward to spending a few more nights in this thing. So stay tuned. So far I'm loving it, just because it's so incredibly comfortable. Very unexpected. I did not expect to have this big of a comfort level. Well, it looks like this new lay flat hammock may be replacing my current setup, at least for the longer unknown spots that I'm traveling to. I've got some flexibility here. I can turn this into a tent on the ground if I don't have trees, and I can even stretch it out longer if the trees are further spaced apart. Yeah, I hope you got something out of the video. If you've used a lay flat hammock, or if you're curious about looking into something like this, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. I'll try to answer any questions that you may have. Hopefully within a few weeks I will have a really good feel of how this thing works in the field, and I can respond better with the ins and outs and all that. Make sure you check out my Chinese junk hammock that I sent back. It's 1/10 the price, and probably worth less than that, in fact. So check that out. So far on my journey is hammocks can double as a chair, but this one doesn't have enough material to double as a chair.